One thing you have to do when you are writing, especially if you're going to write a period piece, be very careful about when you set it. Know the details that are involved with your setting. For example, Sherlock Holmes would never check his wristwatch or his cell phone. They didn't have either of them back then. By the same token, nowadays, you would not have two sets of keys to get into your car like you did when I was growing up. One key was to start the engine, the other key was to lock and unlock the trunk and the doors. Nowadays, you just have the fob, takes care of the whole thing. World War II, they would not have been watching television. They would have gotten all their information and so forth from the radio or from the newsreels at the theaters. Nothing ever gets me quite like an author, a producer, or something that overlooks a really simple detail that completely throws everything off. For example, I want to say about 10 years ago or so, there was a miniseries about the FBI agent or the secret agent that caught Aldrich Ames, somebody who was selling secrets to the Soviets. And I was really looking forward to it because I write espionage. I was all excited. I watched the first episode. It was 1 hour. I lasted 15 minutes and I had to turn it off because of one glaring feature. In between the scenes, they have what are called filler scenes where they're just showing cityscapes of Washington or Moscow or London or wherever some of the action is taking place. It's just filler. It's not meant for anything. But they showed one view of the Moscow skyline. There was this big onion dome church. That church was one that had been torn down in the 1930s by Joseph Stalin to build the Great Hall of the People. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Great Hall of the People was torn down and the cathedral was rebuilt. This was set in the 1980s. It wouldn't have been there. That kind of spoiled it for me because now, okay, you got that one detail really screwed up. I'm not going to be able to put much stock in anything else you've got to say. Years later, I was at a California Crime Writers Conference and they had a panel and it was talking about dramatizing and writing scripts and screenplays and producers. And this one woman was there and she was the editor and she was the one that was supposed to review all things and ensure the quality and accuracy and details of everything. And she's going on very detailed into what she is supposed to do. And then she starts talking about that miniseries, implying that she was the one responsible for vetting everything. Discretion being the better part of valor, rather than comment in a room full of people that were hanging on every word like she was Yoda. I just went out for a little walk. Because she didn't. Maybe she had done stuff with the script, but the overall production, when they put everything together, nobody reviewed that because they would have spotted that one detail. I've had editors point out glaring little discrepancies that I've had. In one of my stories, I was talking about long neck bottles of Lone Star. Period that I had set the story in, the long necks hadn't been introduced yet. You had to make sure that that got edited out. But know these little details because the people that read your story are going to get drawn into it. And if all of a sudden you're careless with something, it's going to be like listening to a famous opera singer doing an aria and burping in the middle of it. No matter how good they do afterwards, you're just going to remember the burp. So, no burps.